I've ran statewide very successfully, and now have a record of achievement of transforming an agency that was clearly broken and actually, develop into one of the best agencies in the state government. And so I have a track record now, and I'm very familiar going across the state. Every time we've had a weather event, a storm, you've seen me and my team on the ground within hours to deliver, real, real effects of what good governance is. And I want to take that into Washington. So I'm not a stranger to every corner of our great state. And so that's what I bring. Of course, I bring a lifetime of service to our state. A lot of people want to talk about theories of how to fix problems. I've actually been on the ground fixing them, from security to protecting our communities, to protecting our nation, from leading our young men and women in many combat zones across the world. I have a track record. I don't just talk about it. I don't, I don't. I'm a serious individual that's focused on serious problems, not on silliness.
Those situations right now are the questions about tariffs, and especially with our farmers in our area, in the entire state dealing with some of these things. Where do you stand on what's being done in Washington right now when it comes to tariffs and the pain that some of these farmers are feeling, and what you'd like to see done with it?
I will tell you that the tariffs is very difficult, especially because it's real people. It's not just some imaginary person that's suffering as a result of this. But President Trump is trying to dynamically change a problem that's been exacerbated for many, many administrations have kicked the can and let foreign nations take advantage of Georgia and take advantage of the United States. President Trump is, functionally trying to change the way that we do business and the way people do business with this nation. And without doing the things that he's doing, you see where India, where you see the United Kingdom, all these other countries understand how serious we are. And that's what it takes. President Trump is really working hard to change the status quo because people were taking advantage of us for many, many years. And politicians being sent to Washington just let the can roll. And we can't stand by that.
So you believe the tariff situation right now, he is handling it in the proper way because of your experience also in foreign policy. How does that work, and how is the reaction, especially from China as well as other people out there?
I think President Trump is dealing with the tariff situation in the only way that we can get dramatic, fundamental change to the status quo. People in the past, previous administrations have ignored the problem, and in fact, foreign nations have taken more and more advantage of American workers and American farmers. So he's fundamentally changing the way people do business, and I support him. Clearly, this is painful. This is not something. The easiest thing to do is not do anything about it, but that will crush our market. We is not sustainable the way we were going. And so the courage that President Trump has had in changing the status quo is absolutely critical.
Then would your recommendation or your thought process on this as well to the regular people? What would you tell them who are feeling some of this pain now and who seem to be, long term afraid of what this pain may be?
I will tell you, President Trump and his team are serious about using this pressure on the markets to get fundamental changes. Those changes are happening as we speak. They're being transformed dramatically, and so I don't believe that this pressure will be long lasting. And I have faith that President Trump has got obviously the best interests of all Americans. But if we continue ignoring the problem, it will crush our farmers. It will crush our businesses because everybody keeps on taking advantage of us.
Well, so far it's you, Congressman Carter, are both in this race for Senate right now. Where do you feel that you have an advantage over the congressman, and what exactly do you bring to this office that you think he would not necessarily?
You know, my the advantages that I have, and this is against anybody. It's not just talking about. I'm not going to talk about Congressman Carter because he's got his race to run, but I bring a unique set of capabilities. I focus on bringing veterans, Latinos, small business owners across the state of Georgia to be part of this great coalition that we were very successful as a statewide candidate in the past, and we will continue building this coalition. I am not. I'm very comfortable going into areas where a lot of Republicans have been afraid to venture. side of the city of Atlanta, where I was a police officer, where I protected those communities. Savannah is a great community that we've been very familiar with, and across the state. And so it's not just about one district; it's about the whole state and bringing a coalition of folks that focus on serious business of getting some representation, effective representation in the Senate.
Well, you started to answer it for me right there, but where do you cross the aisle and how do you bring those voters in from the other side? Because obviously, when it comes to a Republican primary, you're trying to get a primarily Trump oriented audience. But to win the state, you're going to need to win a lot of those moderates and also some of the Democrats on that side. Is that where your advantage is over perhaps where Congressman Carter is right now?
I mean, not so much about, it's not so much about commenting on on Congressman Carter, but it really we've been successful as a statewide candidate. We had an overwhelming majority of people supporting and voting for me, and clearly not just Republicans voted for me, but Democrats, Independents. It's going to take everybody to focus on and we have to have the better ideas, the better strategy, and I think we do. We're not interested in the talking points. We're not talking, we're not getting and supporting, protesters that just want to go and wail against the establishment. We're actually interested in solutions. And that's what I bring to the table.
Yeah, that's important for solutions right now with the way everything is going in Georgia. If you just wanted to close sort of with one strong point that you believe, the one thing you're going to focus on, especially in the next few months for the people of Georgia, what would that be?
I'll tell you, I've been privileged and honored to lead and serve alongside Georgia's best sons and daughters in combat in multiple theaters. I've been a chief of police who has protected my community both in Atlanta and in Doraville. I've suffered as a result of those efforts, not only by being wounded in action in the streets of Atlanta, but also, fighting alongside our soldiers. I bring the credibility and the seriousness that this office requires. We've been successful in transforming a broken agency. The insurance commissioner's office was broken when I took it over. We delivered on results. I've been a good partner, a loyal partner to our great state leaders, and so that's what I offer: a statewide viable candidate that is not afraid to go anywhere in the state to make our case that we have better ideas, that we have a better strategy for the future of Georgia.
I lied. I have to ask one more, too. Obviously, you're strong in the Latino community. You're Latino yourself. What would you tell those people right now who are very scared with what's going on with ICE and the possibility of deportations and the way it's being handled right now? You're very strong in that Latino community. You're very close to that community. There is a lot of fear because of the way things are being put out there. What would you tell those folks?
I will tell you, the current environment was driven by the previous administration. The Biden administration just absolutely ignored the law, flooded our nation with folks that gone into the Latino community and victimized the Tren de Aragua, MS-13. The first people who they've gone and victimized is the Latino community. And the Latino community is sick and tired of being used as a prop. Uh, we are a nation of laws, and we want to make sure that we advocate that if we don't like a law, we change the law. We do it the right way. Don't just advocate for flooding of our communities that can't be supported. And so the community knows where I stand. I lost a police officer in Doraville that was killed in the line of duty by an illegal immigrant. So I'm pretty passionate about this. I've used the laws to target criminal aliens to deport them. And so I will support the laws, and if there's a change in the law, I'll be the first one to go and advocate and support that. But right now, our country, the current status is unsustainable, and President Trump is doing what he has to get law and order back into our communities. And we've seen what happens when we have lawlessness on our streets across our nation, in our local communities, our hospitals, our schools cannot support that. The Latino community wants fairness. They want to have folks that apply the law across the board. And and they came into this country, many of them, the majority of them came into this country following the rules. And the folks that break the rules to get to the front of the line, we can't support that. And so I don't support that.